Thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Please include your name, occupation, and connection, if there is any, to 100 Rural Women.
I'm Elissa Alzate. I am an associate professor at Winona State University. And in several of my classes, I emphasize civility and helping students to become more thoughtful and responsible citizens of their communities. And part of this is helping them understand the ideas behind different perspectives and different appreciating why it is that we hold the political views that we do. Um, and, just because despite our political differences, we are all part of the same community. We don't get to choose who's in our community. So that's a little bit of what I do. I don't have a formal connection to 100 Rural Women, but I think it's a wonderful thing to have. I think it's a wonderful goal to be able to connect women together. We do so much for our communities, and I think we are capable of contributing so much. And sometimes we need a little bit of inspiration, or we need a little bit of mentoring to be able to hold the positions that we're capable of, or be able to have the contribution that we can.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Can you describe your connection to rural America?
So I was raised in rural America. I was raised in Wisconsin. And as an adult, I have been all over the country. So I left rural America for a while. I've been in cities, big and small. I've been on the West Coast. But I did come back to rural America, and I've settled in Winona. And I appreciate everywhere I've been. I think everywhere that I've lived has a positive contribution on me. But there's something about rural America that I really value that we don't find in bigger cities, which is that sense of community, the sense of you can go to the store and see like 10 people, that can have positives and negatives. But the idea, I mean, we know each other. We come in contact with each other all the time, and we can address some of our shared concerns for our community because we know that we are all part of that, and we are all dedicated to this community that we live in. And so that's what I think is the real value of rural America, is that we have the ability to, whether we like each other or not, whether we agree with each other politically or not, we do have that love of our small towns and the love of our region and our state, that allows us to sometimes put aside our differences to work together.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Can you tell us about a moment you felt discouraged and then how you were able to overcome that?
So as I was thinking about, this was a hard question to answer, actually. Um, I can't think of one moment that stands out in particular. What had hit me was, I do get discouraged a lot. Like a lot of women, I have what we call imposter syndrome, where, we achieve something like my PhD and we're like, oh, I really don't deserve that. Or that was a total fluke and they shouldn't have awarded me my PhD. Um, and so a lot of moments like that have gotten me discouraged. And one in particular, just as an example, not because it's different than the others, but just because it's an example of, I think, what a lot of women face. And sometimes the discouragement comes from ourselves, but allowing our fears and our self-doubt to uh, inhibit ourselves, like to kind of act as an obstacle to what we can do. And so this one example, I had this great idea, what I thought was this great idea that was connected to my dissertation topic. And I wanted to apply it to contemporary politics. And I thought, well, I don't know if I can do this myself. And so I'm going to bring it to this one colleague from grad school. And I'm going to talk about it with him. And maybe, in this conversation, maybe we could collaborate on it, or, get more of a boost from that. And it wasn't him. It was my fear and my self-doubt kept me from being able to speak about it in a very confident way and in a way that I would come across as knowledgeable and having expertise in this area. And um, I kept myself from doing that. And that was really discouraging because then his response was, well, this is a terrible idea. Like, you don't really know what you're talking about. You're trying to talk about things that you don't really know about, which I did. I just didn't, it didn't come across that way. And so that was really discouraging for me. But then the more that I had thought about this idea and the more that I thought about that interaction and realized it wasn't him and it wasn't the idea that was bad, it was my own fear that was keeping me from it. And it took a while, but I just kept kind of working on it, kept working on this idea and kept pushing it forward in different venues. And, you know, it did end up coming to being published in a book under a sole author. So I didn't even need the other person. But so, like I said, that's not an example of something that's like totally stands out as, you know, life-changing event. But I face those a lot, and I find myself having to remind myself that like it's your fear. Just do something, just do it and move forward. And oftentimes, you know, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not great or what I would have wished to have happened, something better comes out of it than what I had feared. So
Awesome. Well, thank you today for your time, Alyssa. We really appreciate it.